How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Jason, and in today's video, we're going to be previewing Week 1 of the 2023 CFL season. We have made it, ladies and gentlemen. And so, jumping right in with our first game, Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern, the BC Lions visit the Calgary Stampeders, and this should be a very interesting game. On the board here in green, I've noted one player to watch for each team. For BC, that's running back Taquan Mizell, who is going to be making his first career CFL start at running back. BC opted not to bring in any experienced options in the backfield this offseason, so it's going to be interesting to see how they do. They haven't been traditionally a very strong running team besides the last couple of years. You know, James Butler was a rare exception to that. They haven't had that many great running backs come through their last couple of years, so I'm interested to see how Mizell does. And then for Calgary, it's simply quarterback Jake Maier. I think that a lot of people are down on him with how he finished the season last year. I'm not one of those people. I have him still ranked as the number 2 quarterback in the CFL going into this year, but a good start would do a lot to quiet the doubters for Maier. Now, I think BC wins this game if they can slow down Calgary's rush offense. I think that's really the key to Calgary's attack. Get going with Kadeem Carey, set the line of scrimmage, and I think if they can do that, Calgary will probably win this game. But if BC can slow that down, I like BC's matchups on the perimeter on both sides of the ball. I think their wide receivers will be able to get theirs. They're going to be able to score some points in this game. Vernon Adams, I expect to have a pretty good game. And then on the defensive side, if they can slow down the run, I think their defensive backs can match up pretty well with Calgary's receivers. But for Calgary, I think they can win if they can set the line of scrimmage, like I said, stay ahead of the chains, and, just stay on schedule. And I think that's going to be really key for them in this one. Ultimately, I'm going to go with the Lions to win this game 28-23. It was close for me with the selection, but honestly, I think BC, Vernon Adams, we saw them going there last year and win, so I think I have confidence in picking them in this game. BC with the road upset week 1. Now moving on to our second game, Friday night football between the Hamilton TigerCats and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. 8:30 p.m. kickoff for this one. And the number one player that I'm looking for in this game is obviously quarterback Bo Levi Mitchell for the Hamilton TigerCats. I want to see specifically, is the ball coming out of his hands with velocity? Are passes coming up short? I saw that a lot the last couple of years with Calgary, so I'm very interested to see how the zip looks on his passes and also how he's navigating the pocket. He's not much of a runner, obviously. We know that about Bo Levi Mitchell, but if he can navigate the pocket effectively, I think that's going to be a very good sign for the TigerCats going forward. And then for Winnipeg, the player I'm watching is defensive end Willie Jefferson. Kind of a quiet last year on the stat sheet. Not necessarily in terms of impact. I still had him as number 4 on my list of the top 50 players of 2023. But at the end of the day, I think he always comes to play against the TigerCats, and I'm expecting him to do the same in this one. I think a key for Hamilton in this one will be the offensive line playing well, and I think this is going to be an ongoing storyline throughout the year. Bo Levi Mitchell, as we just talked about, not a very mobile quarterback, so you have to have great pass protection, and I think they have a good opportunity to do so with the personnel they brought in over the past couple of off seasons, and I think that's going to be a really big key for them in this game, slowing down guys like Willie Jefferson on the defensive side for Winnipeg, and I think it's going to be really important for Hamilton's defense to also limit the big plays for Zach Collaros, make him march the full length of the field. I think it's going to be very, very important for Hamilton. If they can do those couple things, play well on the offensive line and limit the big plays, I think they have a chance to win in Winnipeg. And then for Winnipeg itself, I think the pass rush getting home is going to be a big thing. If they can rattle Bo Levi Mitchell early, I think that's going to be a big sign and give them a really good chance of winning. And I think having some balance on the offensive side would be really important as well. Their run game was not that impressive over the past year or so, so I'm very interested to see how Brady Oliveira looks in this one. He's obviously still their lead back there in Winnipeg, so I'm very interested to see how they do in this one. But ultimately, I'm going to go with Winnipeg to win this game 26-21. I think it's going to be a really close game, maybe a closer game than a lot of people are giving it credit for. But at the end of the day, I think Winnipeg should be favored rightly in this game, and I'm going to pick them. Now moving on to our third game of the week, Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern, the Ottawa Redblacks at the Montreal Alouettes. Very interesting early season matchup between two rivals here, and I think that for Ottawa, the player I'm watching is wide receiver Justin Hardy. They have Jalen Acklin. Jalen Acklin really established himself as a number 1 receiver in that receiving core, but they don't really have too many other proven options outside of him that are healthy right now. And Shaq Evans, Braylon Addison, not yet with the team, not going to be healthy for this one. So I'm interested to see how a guy like Justin Hardy, a guy that has an NFL pedigree, was drafted in the NFL, had some production in the NFL, has been on the team the last couple of years, kind of waiting for that breakout, had some good games last year. I think he could have a big breakout year this year for Ottawa. He's a guy I'm watching. And then for Montreal, linebacker Avery Williams, who comes over from Montreal, from Ottawa in free agency. He's going to be playing against his former team. I think he's going to rack up something crazy like 12 tackles in this one, have a big impact on this game. How they're going to win this game, how each team could win this game. I think Nick Arbuckle is going to be the starting quarterback for the Ottawa Redblacks. It was just reported that Mazzoli is going to miss the first 2 weeks of the season. I think if Arbuckle can play within himself, limit the turnovers, because when it went downhill for him last year at the beginning of the season in Edmonton, it really went downhill. He just started piling up the turnovers. So I think that's going to be very important for Arbuckle if he can stay clean in terms of limiting the turnovers. I think he did that a lot down the stretch last year for the Ottawa, and I think if he can do that, they have a good chance of winning in Montreal on Saturday night. And then I think if the defense is able to keep the game relatively within reach, I don't think that this offense with Arbuckle is capable of going out and scoring 30 plus points against Montreal's defense. So I'm very interested to see how Ottawa's defense does to kind of keep the score within reach, and I think that's going to be very crucial for Ottawa in this one to keep it kind of low scoring. And then how Montreal could win, I think they really have to show a deep commitment to the running game, and this is something that Jason Moss, the head coach, has struggled with over his previous stops in the CFL. I mean, they have great personnel at running back and William Stanback, Jesserin Antwi, and Walter Fletcher. Three great three-headed monster really for that offense, but I think they have to deploy them well and stick with them when the offense is kind of sputtering a little bit, not just fall back on the pass, because I don't think they necessarily have the weapons to be that drop-back passing offense. And we saw in Saskatchewan, Cody Fajardo just not that great when you're asking him to be that pure drop back guy. He's really good on play action, but he's just not that good in terms of dropping back 40 times and letting it rip. So I'm very interested to see how Montreal deploys their offensive game plan in this one, if it's more of a run-heavy one, which is what I would suggest. Ultimately, I think with Mazzoli out for Ottawa, I think that's going to be a little bit too much to overcome. I'm going to go with Montreal to win this game 20-16. I see it as a low-scoring, scrappy game, but ultimately I see the Owls coming out on top. Now moving on to the Week 1 finale between the Saskatchewan Roughriders and the Edmonton Elks. 7 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff for this one Sunday night. And my player to watch for both teams are both defensive linemen. Defensive tackle Anthony Lanier for the Saskatchewan Roughriders played the first half of last year, put up great numbers, but missed the last half of last year. So I'm interested to see what he does now back in the fold healthy for this team. I think if he plays up to his potential, he's one of the best defensive linemen in the CFL. And then for Edmonton, defensive end AC Leonard comes over from the Saskatchewan Roughriders, a potential revenge game, reunites with Chris Jones here in Edmonton. So I'm interested to see how he plays. But yeah, those defensive linemen are two guys that I'm watching in this game. I think Saskatchewan will find a way to win if Trevor Harris can find his rhythm early in this game. If he can really fit into that offense, I think he has a really good chance. He's going against his former team here, so I think there's going to be some motivation there. So I'm interested to see how Harris plays, particularly early in this game. Usually, you can tell with Trevor Harris in the first quarter or so of a game how well he's going to play that day, because usually he's all on, or he's just kind of sputtering a little bit. So I'm interested to see how he plays in his first game with the Roughriders here. And I think it's also important for Saskatchewan to force Taylor Cornelius to be uncomfortable early and often in this game. I think Lanier is a key player in doing that for the Roughriders. For Edmonton, I think it's just really important for them to execute in the red zone. I think that has been a problem for them the past couple of years. They've had some games in the past couple of years, especially at home, where they've been able to move the ball, get it into scoring position, but just cannot punch the ball in. That could really be the difference between winning and losing a lot of times in the CFL, especially with, a lot of teams settling for field goals very frequently. Edmonton, one of those teams, so we're going to see if they can get more into the end zone. I think if they can, punch it into the end zone a few times, I think they have a really good chance of winning this game against the Roughriders in this one. And I think that limiting that quick strike passing game from Trevor Harris, don't let him get comfortable, like I was saying. I think it's going to be really key for the Elks in coming out victorious against the Roughriders in this one. And I'm just really interested to see how this game turns out Edmonton, of course, looking to snap that long home losing streak. And ultimately, I'm going to pick them to do that. You know, kind of a jinx, but I'm going to take them to win 30-28. I think this new look Elks team's going to really breathe some life into this organization again, and I have the Elks winning their opening game of the 2023 CFL season. Well, with that said, that is just my preview of week 1 of the 2023 CFL season. Be sure to let me know your picks down below. And with that said, hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.